16,000 veterans every month are what are shoved into our communities. 16,000 members of the military get out every month. And right now, as we all know, at the time of filming this, it is day number 26 of the government shutdown. Now, what does this mean for the 16,000 veterans who are now in our communities in the transition of their lives? Well, what the mainstream media will not report to you is things like this. They're not going to tell you that 16,000 military members a month who get out after serving 4 years, 20 years, 15 years, 35 years, however long it was, they're all leaving the military. 16,000 a month. In case you didn't hear it, it's 16,000 soldiers a month are shoved into the civilian world. And while our government is shut down, 16,000 veterans are getting no transition assistance because all the programs are shut down. Nobody's at work because there's no funding to pay them. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the men and women who have honorably served their country, who have lived up to their commitment, the commitment they made when they rose their hand and swore to defend this place? I've taken some notes here, and so if you see me referencing them, that's why I'm looking over. But I've taken some notes because I can't possibly remember all these statistics on my own. So I have taken notes, but let's go through this quickly. I don't want to keep you too long. The first talking point that I have is this problem with dependency. And I don't know that it's necessarily a huge hardcore problem because this is kind of what the military experience is, right? A lot of service members, especially younger soldiers, they don't develop the crucial skills that you need as civilians because the military doesn't require it. Your time is structured almost down to the minute, at least during the workday. Your food is provided. Your housing is covered. Your health care, your dental, your vision, all of those things, mental health care, it's all provided should you need it. All of those things are provided for you. What does the Transition Assistance Program offer? It offers seminars in all of these things. Now, what I will tell you is that there are probably a lot of veterans out there that will tell you that TAP, which is the Transition Assistance Program, is a bunch of bullshit. Truth be told, now as a veteran who's been out since 2021, I understand better the advantage of the Transition Assistance Program. See, the problem is that when soldiers have spent however many years serving this country and it's time to get out, go home, start a new life, start a business, get a new job, whatever it is, they're not taught all of these skills in the military. And when it's time to get out, the last thing they want to do is sit through seminars and be given a bunch of information overload. But what I will say is that the Transition Assistance Program is pretty helpful. It is pretty helpful for things like how to write a resume. How do I talk about my military experience on paper to a potential employer? How do I change the wording, the description of what I did, the skills that I gained in leadership roles, in teamwork, keeping track of very expensive, sensitive items, all of these things that transition into great skills in the civilian world, especially for a lot of employers. A lot of veterans fall short because they don't quite understand how to describe their military work or their military experience on a resume to make them more attractive to employers. But that's gone. It's gone. They don't have that right now. So things like resume writing, job searching, how to find an apartment or buy a house, how to navigate healthcare, that in itself is one hell of a conundrum. If you don't know how to best navigate insurance and different healthcare systems, you are not going to get the assistance that you need. You're not going to get to where you need to be. And probably the most important part, in my opinion, when it comes to transition assistance, The most important part is sound financial management and sound financial management advice. Here's the thing. When young people, especially younger soldiers, are doing their thing inside the military, they're getting their paychecks on the 1st and 15th of each month, but they don't have to pay rent. They don't have to buy groceries. They don't have to pay a bill for health insurance, those types of things. The common everyday things we all need to be able to provide for ourselves and pay for, all of that's covered. And so what do soldiers usually do, especially young soldiers? They're out buying $70,000, $80,000 vehicles. They're going on vacations, or they're doing whatever, pissing away money, DoorDash, all kinds of different stuff. And there's no consequence seemingly in their eyes. We got the money. I don't got to pay for my house. I don't have to pay for food. I don't have to pay for any of that. It's all built in. The community aspect of being in the military, it's all built in. You are preached all the time that we are a team. We work as a team. And if you're not doing your part, the team is going to suffer. One fail, all fail. That's what the military preaches to us. And so now that 16,000 of these folks are set to be gone from the military service in just a few days, and the ones that already have gotten out this month since the government is shut down, they're not getting this coaching. They're not getting this help. And apparently, allegedly, there is no plan for these folks who are already out and transitioning. There's no plan for them to come back later so that they can take part in these workshops. They can get this information and this help that they so crucially need, even if they don't think they need it. And I hope that that statistic is wrong. I hope that that information is wrong. I hope that there is a way and a place for them to go when bureaucrats decide that they're going to reopen the government. And why is our government closed? Allegedly, it's because one side wants to give free healthcare to illegals and the other side doesn't. And they are holding the whole country hostage because of this. And meanwhile, the legacy media, the mainstream media, all these big fancy news networks, nobody is talking about the fact that every month, 16,000 veterans get out. And this month in particular, these men and women are not going to get the transition support they need. Here's a statistic here. 27 to 44% of veterans, especially post 9/11 veterans, find readjustment difficult. It's not weakness, right? I don't believe that that's weakness. I don't believe that when you get out, if you have problems transitioning, I don't know that it makes you weak. I think that it's a product of systemic dependency. And that's what the military is all about. That's what the military does. They take care of these things for you. They take care of your housing. They feed you. They ensure that you get medical care. Some would argue whether or not it's great medical care, but net medical care nonetheless. And they do these things for you so that you can, as a soldier or as a Marine or airman or a seaman or whatever it is, whatever branch you're in, they do this so that you can focus on your mission. You can focus on your job. And that's exactly what's needed. Imagine what it would be like if majority of our soldiers every day were worried about whether or not they were going to be able to buy food, whether or not their kids and their spouses and their family is going to be able to eat. Can they afford to go to the doctor? Can I bring my kids to the doctor if they get sick? Can I go get the care that I need? Should I have some issue go on? Is that stuff available to me? Well, the military takes all that guesswork out. They take care of all of it so you can focus on your mission. The next talking point, the transition gap. The transition assistance program exists specifically to bridge the gap of military dependency and civilian self-efficiency. We know that being an efficient, well-versed member of our communities is super important. And that is one of the key features and one of the key focuses of the transition assistance program. being able to get folks to a place where they can be self-sufficient, and then also use this amazing skill set, depending on what job they did in the military, use these things to make their communities better. But that's not possible if we're not at least giving them a framework of what it's like to be able to walk through life on your own and be successful at it. Let's see here. The Transition Assistance Program teaches the basics civilians learn gradually. Things like how to write a resume, how to interview for jobs well, and how to manage money without automatic allotments. It's well known that in many places in today's day and age in our country that folks are underpaid. A lot of people aren't getting paid what they're worth, and becoming, not just for veterans, but becoming a person who makes sound financial decisions based on your income and your situation is extremely important, in my opinion. And I believe that money issues are 1,000% something that really, really hits hard for people, because it becomes a slippery slope where it is extremely hard to dig yourself out of massive debt. It's extremely hard to dig yourself out of, back rent or child support that you can't pay. Things of this nature are extremely difficult. So things like TAP are very good for veterans, but right now it's non-existent. What are the other things? 26 days, every separation during this window, it happens anyway. All of these veterans that are leaving, no matter whether the government is open or closed, are going to happen. Now, there has been some talk that some enlisted members are going to be extended for 45 days until the government hopefully is back open, and so that they can get this assistance that they need. But that's not everybody. As far as I am aware, based on what I read during my research, it's a pretty small number of people who are going to be essentially stop lost for 45 days until the government figures this shit out. What else is down? The GI Bill hotline, for example. It says here 900,000 educational beneficiaries. They can't get any answers. They can't get any help. And I say beneficiaries because the GI Bill is not just veterans. As military members, we can pass our education benefits to our children, to our spouse, to our brothers, to our sisters. You can pass them to family members if you know that you're not going to use them. And if you decide you want to later, well, then that's pretty shitty, because you've already passed them on. So you get them once, whether you use them or you pass them to somebody else who will. Right now, there's no answers. So what does this mean for the 900,000 veterans that are, and their family members or whoever that are using GI Bill benefits? It means that, well, they may not be able to enroll in classes on time for the next semester. It means that they're not getting the information that they need to continue with their educational goals. And so if I can't talk to my GI Bill advisor about, what is my award this month? Can I take part in this program? Can I register for this many classes? How many credits can I take? What's going to be covered? There's a ton of different questions when it comes to education benefits and how they can be used and paid out by the government. And if you don't know that information when you go to register for school, they're not going to let you register unless you're going to pay them out of your pocket. And most people who are using these benefits are using them, one, because they earn them, but a lot of people use them because they can't afford to pay on their own. I mean, I have seen veterans and heard stories of other veterans passing their education benefits along to their children or something like that, and then paying for their own. But regardless, 900,000 people are not able to get the answers in which they need to continue on with their educational goals. VA career counseling. So the VRNE program, the vocational rehabilitation program that the VA offers for veterans who need to be retrained. Maybe their service-connected disabilities doesn't necessarily allow them the opportunity to be well-versed enough to maintain a career that they were trained in the military to do, or they don't want to. And so there's 100,000 enrollees in that program right now who are getting no case management. And VR&E, vocational rehab, also deals with education, right? If I'm a person, that's how I got my bachelor's degree. That's how I finished college. I went through vocational rehab. And you have a case manager, and this is the person you talk to about your tuition bills being paid, the supplies and or equipment you need to go to class and do the best that you can, depending on your program, what you need, whether it be tools or a computer or a proper desk or something, whatever it is that is going to help you to be successful in your educational goals. This program is meant to provide. Not only that, but some people use it to start a small business and get counseling and guidance about how to do that effectively and also help fund it. These are very important programs for the veteran community, and none of these people are getting any of this help. There's a statistic here also, 33% of separating veterans say that finding employment is their biggest challenge. And right now, there is zero help for that. So what does that mean? 16,000 veterans a month get out. And this month, all those guys who are getting out and they were excited about finishing their military careers and going on to civilian employment, none of them can call anybody to ask any questions. None of them have anybody to lean back on as far as the military and the VA are concerned for help, for guidance, for support. And this all coming from a government that says these are our most important citizens. Veterans and military members are the lifeblood of this country. That's what many people say. Well, if that's the case, why is nobody talking about the 16,000 veterans that are going without any help, any assistance? Just, hey, man, thank you for your service. Here's a folded flag to put in your shadow box. Here's an award or two to put on your retirement uniform that you hang in your closet and put together and show your grandkids later. This is Grandpa's uniform from when I served in the Army. That's all you get. And you get a pat on the ass when you leave. Good luck to you. And we already know, it's not a secret. We already know that veterans who are recently separated from the military go through these issues and they have these troubles. Why is this a crisis? This isn't made up numbers, right? These statistics show exactly where the government is falling short. At least in this case. I mean, Speaker Johnson will get on C-SPAN or whatever. You see him on YouTube almost every day talking about what the Democrats won't do and what the Republicans have tried to do and what the president has tried to do and the deals they've tried to put together and the negotiations that have been happening. And at the end of the day, Speaker Johnson, nobody gives a shit about that. No one gives a fuck about what you guys are negotiating. All that the people want is for you to turn the switches back on so you can get back to doing the work that we, the people, put you there to do. We don't care. We don't care about what you're arguing about. Well, and maybe I shouldn't say that because maybe a lot of people do care. But at the end of the day, it's not just veterans who are going without. In the context of this channel and this show, we talk about veterans and military issues. And so this is definitely something that should be talked about. When he's up there talking about the fact that, well, it's November 1st is coming and unfortunately our troops may go without. Our Border Patrol agents may go without. Our TSA workers may go without. Our air traffic controllers, they just may have to come to work for free. And that ain't gonna happen long. And a little side note, in some way, I think that this type of thing is done by design to a certain extent. I think that these politicians and these bureaucrats, they do understand that once folks are not able to get food, once they're not able to get paychecks, they're not able to pay their bills, their mortgage, their car payments, their insurance bills, all these things, because your debtors aren't going to just forgive your bills because the government is disagreeing about whether or not to give illegal aliens health care or whatever else they're arguing about. At this point, I don't even give a shit. But the people that hold my mortgage, the finance company that holds the loan on my truck, my wife's car, all of our bill, they don't care. None of these people care that you're not getting paid. They want their money. So when the government shuts down and they allow all these things to happen, and now we're starting to see people come out on social media, and it's more of the shitbags than anybody else, to be honest, talking about how they're going to just go steal the shit, and I dare you to get in my way because there's going to be smoke in the city. Well, I hope there ain't a whole lot of smoke in the city, because if there's a bunch of smoke in the city, it ain't going to be from the dirt bags who are robbing everyone blind, who also is going without. It's going to be those folks hopefully getting trampled and trounced by law enforcement and business owners who aren't going to let you come in and just steal their shit. And furthermore, this type of financial collapse, if you will, this issue of not getting any kind of support, this weighs very heavy on the mental health of people. 23% of veteran suicide cases involved financial stress within 24 hours before crisis. What does that tell us? That tells us that when veterans, for sure, get into these financial crises, is that even a word? Crises? These financial crises, or into financial, Jesus, criminy, into financial crisis, it isn't long before they give up hope. And we see that all the time. Veteran suicide numbers are just as high as they've ever been. And many people report that they lost jobs, they just don't have enough money to pay the bills. And this leads to drinking and drug use, self-medication to try to calm down the voices in your head. And as we know, many veterans every day lose that battle, that mental battle. Suicide rate for veterans who separated in 2021 was 46.2 veterans for every 100,000. And this is what happens also when these transition gaps happen. When these men and women fall through the cracks and they're left to try to figure it out on their own, these types of things happen. Depression, stress, anxiety, drinking, drugs, self-medication, all this, and none of it leads to anything good. These are the men and women that we talk about, we value so much. These bureaucrats will get up in front of a camera and they'll tell you about how important these men and women are. But then they're gonna hold the country hostage. And furthermore, why is it even a debate? Why is it even a debate to give illegal aliens in our country taxpayer-funded health care? And maybe I'm getting off into the weeds here, but it's a no-brainer, in my opinion. I don't understand why it's even a thing. If you're not paying into the system, why do you get to reap the benefits of said system? I am not going to walk into a hospital, find some random person and go, hey, I'll pay your bill today. I mean, I might pay for somebody's cup of coffee at Caribou or the gas station or something, pay it forward. A $5 cup of coffee, no problem. $20,000 medical bill, I'm not paying that. But yet there's so many people in this country that believe that we should just let them take advantage of the benefits without putting anything into it. I just don't know about that. So the mainstream media, they won't talk about military dependency because it questions the system. They're not going to do that. They're not going to follow the 16,000 veterans through their crisis because it's not immediate drama. A lot of these things are a waterfall effect, right? A lot of these things aren't going to be acute tragedy and acute despair. It's going to be a gradual process. Folks will come out of the military and they'll be all high on life. Hey man, I just did my 6 years or my 20 years or whatever it is. And now I've learned some skills. I have some confidence about myself. I got things figured out. And when they get out and they realize that some things aren't exactly what they thought they were going to be, and it's hard to pay bills, and it's hard to find a job, it's hard to go to school and be able to sit around a bunch of young kids, in many cases, a bunch of younger students that aren't really there for the right reason, maybe, or some of them just they're kids. They don't understand what a lot of things in life are. And so sitting in a classroom, I can tell you, when I went back to school and I was in my mid to late 30s, and I was sitting in a classroom with a bunch of 19 to 22-year-old kids, and I'm trying to listen to this instructor talk about whatever the subject matter was that we were being taught. And they're fucking around and all this other stuff. It just makes you extremely frustrated. Because when you're in the military and you're in a classroom setting, you shut the hell up, you pay attention, you take notes if you need to, because usually there is a quiz at the end, and you're there to learn something. And I understand that sometimes in college, the classes you take aren't necessarily exactly what it is you want to do with your life, but it's all important. You're there to learn something, so you might as well learn it. And so not everybody has the same view, but that is why it gets extremely frustrating for people. They won't connect transition failure to suicide statistics because it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable conversation. It's a well-known fact that when soldiers get out without proper transition assistance, whether they like it or not, it leads to more negative outcomes than if they had gotten whatever assistance it was that they needed, wanted, or were offered. It's an uncomfortable conversation, and nobody wants to make the correlation between failure of the system and veteran suicide. But we know that it is correlated. If you get out of the military and you don't have a proper support structure, whether it be from your family and friends or the people around you, or the system that trained you. The system that trained you speed and violence of action. In cases like mine, combat soldiers, combat jobs, they teach you speed and violence of action. Destroy an enemy with all the tools of war that you've been given and use them effectively. No mercy. If you show mercy, you die. And so soldiers take that mentality from their combat training out into a civilian world where that mentality is not necessarily very supported by the masses, and probably rightfully so. We don't need that kind of shit going on in our day-to-day lives. Although nowadays, a little more of that might be a good thing. Wake people up a little bit. So there are no media outlets. There is nobody that are willing to talk about this and make these correlations, because then it shows that the system is fucked up. And I don't get it, because we can see every day different examples of the system being screwed up. And maybe they don't want to talk about it because they don't want the military side of government to look more fucked up than they already do. But the truth is that we're failing the men and women who chose to put on a uniform, who chose to defend a nation, that chose to learn a skill set, and then chose to sacrifice their physical health, their mental health, their financial wealth, all these things for this country. And now, this month anyway, 16,000 of them are going to go without. And some people will say, well, in the grand scheme of things, 16,000 really isn't that many people when we're talking about millions of soldiers and veterans in the country. Yeah, well, tell that to those 16,000 people, and then also tell that to their families and their support structure, the people that do want to be there, that do want to help them. You tell them it's not a big deal. And this isn't the only government failure of transitioning soldiers and veterans. We can take a look back in not very far history and see and understand what's really happening. And what's really happening, in my opinion, in many cases, is that we get our young people to join the military. We teach them. We break them down to the studs. We rebuild them in the image of whatever branch of service they decide to join. And we make them warriors, and we make them mentally tough. And we train them to do all of these things, good, bad, and indifferent. And then when it's time, and their time is up, no matter how long or how short, now, today, this month, we're just going to send them out. Good luck to you. But don't be a stranger, as long as you don't come back and ask for assistance and help. Because next month, there's another 16,000 soldiers they have to train for their transition. And the month after that, there's another 16,000, and a month after that. So how far is this backlog going to go? And how many soldiers are we going to be just screwing over? I think that it is something that way more media outlets should be talking about. A lot more people should be discussing these types of things. There's no do-overs. There's no retroactive TAP workshops. These soldiers are already in the gap. They're already falling through the cracks. And they hadn't even been out a month yet. Who's going to step in and help them? Are there other veteran service organizations or nonprofits or foundations or something like that that are helping veterans who need assistance, transition assistance? I really hope so. There's a couple out there that claim they are. And I don't know whether they're being honest and truthful or not. But what I do know is that the system that was put in place for these men and women is not there. It's gone. And the legacy media, they won't tell you about it. They won't talk to you about these things. They will tell you, though, that the government, the bureaucrats and the politicians, they're arguing over free healthcare for illegals. They're arguing over ICE. They're arguing over all this other stuff. And okay, maybe rightfully so. Maybe those things need to be argued about and hashed out. But I don't believe that 16,000 veterans need to go without any kind of assistance, especially when the data and history shows that when soldiers go without said assistance, it leads to bad outcomes. It leads to suicide. It leads to homelessness. It leads to joblessness. It leads to depression, anxiety, other mental health issues, self-medicating, drugs, alcohol, all kinds of different stuff. I think that these men and women deserve better. I really do. Before we end for the day, let me ask you, are you a person that's struggling with this? Do you know somebody who's struggling with this? Leave a comment below. Let us know. Let's start a conversation around this. This type of thing is important, and people who maybe need a couple words of encouragement, or they need to know that there's people out there that care, that are willing to do something to help, whether it's the smallest thing or a super big help. Sometimes people just need to know that they're not alone. So if that's you, leave us a comment below. Let's start a conversation. Also, please feel free to drop us a like and a subscribe and all of those fun things. We really do appreciate it. We'll be back with you very soon for more content. And these are the types of things that 3 Clicks Media and Disgruntled are going to talk to you about, because the legacy media will not do it. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.